media made by cults. Wait, that would make more sense if it was like cults made by media. That's what I'm thinking of. Media made by cult. Oh, it's probably like a website. Understandable.
Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven.
Yo, this is cursing me, bro. Stop.
Taking the deep dive into what these groups make is fascinating. And they always end up with some of the strangest and most uncanny media I've ever seen. And in today's video, I would like to share with you all some of the strangest and most disturbing media
He got
made by
VO3?
cults.
Hold on, he got VO3? Oh no, I'm tripping.
Some of the strangest and most disturbing media made by cults.
Don't say up.
But before we
say
get
up?
into our cults today,
Okay.
we have to talk about something just as terrifying as cults. And that's your health. Look, I probably don't go
Oh
to the
my
doctors
gosh,
as
bro,
much
this
as I
ad.
should if I'm feeling sick.
We now return to
You women more, and some of you still are.
The Lovitz, those happy, loving puppets with songs of love.
This is the Love It.
Bro, I don't understand. Like, do kids never get afraid of watching these shows like this life type of puppet? Do you not get scared of like seeing this and be like, oh shit, this looked like me? Like, what's that one thing called? It's the like she looks so like a human being that people that are actually human beings, they get scared. I forgot the word though. That's just scary as fuck.
A puppet show made in 1984. It was televised mostly in the Philippines. It's a mostly normal puppet show for the time, teaching kids different moral lessons and different Christian values. Nothing about the show seems too out of the ordinary.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it. But it's a this is the closest I'm gonna ever get, because I don't know why they're hiding this. Like, I don't know, whoever made it, their PR team is crazy, because I can't find it. Yo, Kyle, what's up? Yeah, I guess it's like, how you been? It's like these, bro. I don't know. Can you see it? Hold up. This shit, bro. These are the ones I'm talking about. And there's like a term for it too. It's so lifelike. You're scared of it. And you can feel they're trying to be... But I don't know how to explain it, bro.
Outside of the uncanny puppets, but that's normal for most puppet shows out there, in my opinion at least. There is only a handful
Uncanny. Oh my gosh. There, wait. Oh my gosh. Wait, okay. Let me try to find this. Uncanny. I think it's uncanny. Is it uncanny? Yes. Okay, it's uncanny.
of episodes
Yeah, I'll talk
of
to
the
Kyle
show
about that.
currently found, being Rock the Road and Change the World. And we aren't really sure how many of them are missing, with the most notable missing being Green Door, The Golden City, and Life After Death. On the surface, it's really nothing more than a strange Christian puppet show, but it's everything else surrounding it that turns
I ain't gonna lie, I'm peeping, nigga. It's like, it's always that old puppet Christian shows. I seen what's that one guy's name? He does all of it. Damn, I'm really forgetting names. Nick Crowley. He got like 3 episodes on these, bro.
what should
Jesus,
be a way to
crazy.
teach children about morals and life lessons.
Like, I don't know why they
into
keep
something
red
far
or
more
green lighting
sinister.
it.
The show was made by the cult, the Children of God, the same cult that created the show Life with Grandpa.
Like, bro, this is uncanny. Who actually watches this?
Both a show
AP,
and
what's up,
cult
bro?
that we have already covered in another
Yo,
video.
AP, can I call you?
founded by
Wait,
their
wait,
leader,
Addison,
David
can I call you AP? Because like that code switching without me asking is looking kind of crazy. Yeah. All right.
Berg, the cult Children of God uses Christianity as a mask to do some of the most horrific and disturbing crimes against children that we have ever covered on this channel, alongside brainwashing, mass abuse, and prison camps. But we aren't here to
I
talk
ain't gonna lie,
about
he got
that
2
story
PCs?
again,
That's
but
insane.
instead a different part of the story we haven't talked about yet. Another thing the cult was notorious for
Okay,
was
I'm focusing
its
on the wrong
anti-doctor
thing.
and
My fault.
anti-medicine stance, not allowing the members to see a doctor or get any outside treatment, fully relying on the healing of prayer. This would eventually lead to some very serious and very dangerous consequences for the members of this cult, which we'll talk about here soon. The Lovitz was a show that was created by a section of the Children of God based in Australia, dubbed The Caravan. a semi-nomadic group within the Children of God that would eventually move into the Philippines, where they would use cult members' houses to film the Lovitz. They would do the vast majority of their filming in Manila.
Bro, I always wonder, like, how do you start a cult? You really get to know is when you talk about like that cult shit, because bro, I can come up to anybody and say, yo, you want to start a cult, and it takes time. Like, if they automatically say they down, you already know what the type of person they are.
In a house that survivors of the cult called the Lovitz House. The show would go on to air on the GMA network in the prime children's slot on Sunday afternoons. Episodes were also then later packaged.
The people that are green lighting these shows, they know all about the people making them, so they gotta be in a cult too. Never mind, let me just watch the video.
Into VHS tapes for both internal use of the family and to later spread them out and give them to different networks. This allowed the family's video products to be sold into mainstream Christian channels and also to receive third-party endorsements for their other projects. As life
I was gonna play Brawlhalla after this.
with Grandpa and the Lovitz were only two of the shows made by this cult, with other shows being Treasure Attic, Cherub Wings, Kitty
Like,
Viddies,
who watches
and
this
music,
shit,
with
bro?
those
Like,
being Treasure Attic,
Bro, I
Cherub
don't-
Wings, Kitty Viddies.
I don't want to looking at me like this when I'm 5 years old watching this TV show, especially in a Christian network. Like, bro, you guys know what they doing.
And
This
music
is sad,
with
bro.
meaning. This meant that they could spread their message to the masses without them realizing the
Yo,
media
Swipe,
was
what's
made
up, bro?
by a cult,
Nice kicks, I guess.
as they would only add their most mainstream and acceptable beliefs into the shows they put out to the public. The show itself acted as a conduit, a way to grab new followers and slowly indoctrinate children into the group, as the Children of God had a very heavy focus on children and the act of sexually abusing them. It doesn't have any of the darker themes of the cult directly
That'd be
in the
cool. That's
episodes,
fire.
but the titles of the episodes for the Lovitz do
been
directly
playing any
tie into
games?
pieces of literature that the leader of the cult, David Berg, wrote called
Like, bro, there's no way. Oh, like, you just know all of this shit, nigga. Duh. Alright, bro. What games? Like, that's what my leading question to that. Like, who don't play games, bro? I was gonna ask what games if you said yes, bro. Too. There's no way of really said, oh yeah, I'm gonna greenlight a show to this guy. Like, who? Or and Dead by Daylight. I want to get back to Dead by Daylight. Oh, you got the Dead by Daylight badge. I see. How do you get that? That's fire.
letters, a collection of letters written and distributed to the cult as a means of communication between David Berg and his followers, as he was in hiding. The letters consisted
get
of
it no more?
various rules and
Cool,
regulations
okay.
the cult would need
Cool.
to follow, sermons and teachings, and a core law that
No. These are slick. There's a white line. The white line, it stands for some shit. Oh my gosh. Simera. Okay, a fire-breathing monster from Greek myth that has been from parts of a lion, a goat's head on his back, and a snake for his tail. This is what I'm talking about. This is a form of a devil. This, like, all this Greek shit, what Christians believe, this is a form of a devil, bro. This nigga, what's the third one? He eats children also. If you're putting this on a Christian network and you already know Christian don't mess with the line in general, why would you put this here?
Berg demanded the entire group to follow.
Chernos?
The Law of Love. The Law of Love was a law that essentially
Wait, that's the
told
name?
the cult members that they must spread the love of God sexually to everyone and anyone, no matter the age, opening the group up to mass pedophilia. This law was completely non-negotiable, and the cult members would have to go along with it, otherwise they would risk losing everything that they owned, including their own children. All the shows
Mixing the
and
humans
music
with
videos
the
produced by
animals?
the cult was
Disgusting.
used for this exact purpose, to get people indoctrinated and to take their children. Most of the people who worked on these shows had their identity hidden, making it extremely hard to find anyone tied to them. The exception to this was a man
School in
that
2
went
more
by the
days,
alias
fill my permit, and my bitch cheated on me. I ain't gonna lie. Keep her head forward, bro. Life will get better, bro. This isn't a failure. This is just one step to a better life. That's
Peter Puppet,
That's another
credited
reason.
for making almost all the shows for the Children of God, along with being credited with the responsibility for all music segments within the shows.
Killer.
But issues would start to
Don't listen
arise
to him.
with production of the shows
Don't listen to
as
him.
Peter Puppet fell ill. He would develop a form of cancer called Hodgkin's lymphoma, an extremely easy cancer to treat that attacks your lymphatic system of the body. It's honestly one of the better cancers to get if you were to get cancer. cancer simply because it's that easy to get rid of. But because of the cult's stance on
You're right.
doctors, he was never really
No,
able to get help
don't listen
outside of
to
his
him.
first visit to find out what was wrong. He was starting to form a tumor in his neck, which could have been
Let's
handled
run
fairly
fierce.
easily, but
After?
Peter opted out
No.
and instead
I was
went
gonna
back to
run
the
solos
compound
ranked
to
and
pray
he'd
the
go.
tumor away, which unfortunately never happened. As time passed, the tumor would only become bigger and bigger, making Peter's life more painful and keeping himself inside out of shame of his illness. He would eventually beg to be seen by a doctor, but the cult wouldn't let him. So unfortunately, he took the only way that
and
he
you
could
know,
see out, which was his life. This would be the fate of many of the
Never mind.
people within the cult who fell ill, and makes the context of the Lovitz all the more disturbing. It was a show that was aimed at kids, to indoctrinate them into a cult.
I don't know.
where
I
their
could
lives
never
would be
feed my
ruined.
kid this type of show, bro. Like, this is crazy. Again, why don't we sell them Teen Titans, even Teen Titans Go? Why is this shit like the main television children gotta watch? This is
And
crazy,
possibly
bro.
taken due to the rules
Like,
set
in
by
the 1980s, this is like set in the 1980s, I'm pretty sure. They had Batman animated series.
this cult, made by a man
I would even watch
would
this.
fall into
Yes,
the
bro,
exact same fate he would be putting onto the children of the cult. Every single thing that I cover about this cult is always depressing.
And it's crazy,
I'm glad
too.
that
Okay.
I can get this
I'm gonna watch
chapter
the
out of
video.
the way. A lot of their beliefs would
I'm
end
gonna
up
watch the
going
video, bro.
into mainstream Christianity, as I have come to realize while doing research on the cult. Many subsects of Christianity also have a heavy anti-medicine stance, along with a lot of the same lessons that Children of God would end up putting into their shows. Personally, I believe that this is due to the fact that they were able to sell off some of their VHS tapes to mainstream Christianity and other outlets that would take on anything that they could get. Many comments from my previous video about the Children of God said that they watched and listened to quite a bit of music made by the Children of God in local small town churches, not realizing that that's what it was. The Children of God were 100% more spread
Not
out
realizing
than I think even
what they listening to.
realized, and it has had an effect on Christianity overall.
Classroom, or in old language a couple thousand years ago, disciples, those who are trying to prepare themselves
Eyes
for
wide
entry
open.
into
Eyes
the
wide. Yeah,
evolutionary
this is
level
crazy.
above human,
Yeah, I forgot his name.
synonymous
It's that one
with
guy.
the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. Your only chance to
I ain't
evacuate
gonna lie, bro. Like this. No, that's not the Fairs guy. Are you serious? Yeah, you're trolling. This is another guy, bro. This is not the Fairs guy.
is to leave with us.
You're trolling,
Planet Earth,
bro. No, it's not, bro. I forgot his name. It's not the Fairs guy, bro.
or evacuate is to
ForeverPrad.
leave
Oh, you
with
talk.
us.
I'm not even gonna do
Now,
it, bro. I'm not
That's
even gonna
pretty
do it.
major statement.
A final message to those of us left behind,
Stop.
as our last chance to exit leaves us behind. Heaven's Gate, one of the most notorious cults in American history. A strange amalgamation
Oh,
of
that's him!
Christianity, spiritual
knew
ascensionism,
it.
and
I knew it.
aliens. Heaven's Gate was an American new religious movement and UFO
Yeah.
religion founded in the early 1970s, active under a succession of names, including the Anonymous Sexaholic Celibate Church, Human Individual
Sexaholic.
Metamorphosis, Bo and Peep, Total Overcomers Anonymous, and finally, Heaven's Gate. The group taught a theology that combined Christianity, New Age thought, and ufology, holding that human bodies were temporary vehicles or containers for the soul, and that members could transform themselves
Is this
into
Squid Games,
immortal
bro? Like-
extraterrestrials by ascending to an evolutionary level above human.
I ain't
The
gonna lie
founder
though.
of the
Hold up.
cult
Pause.
was
Pause.
Marshall
I ain't finna cap. These might be geniuses, and I'm not saying it to the fact where the yourself part. That shit was stupid. I'm gonna say that shit was stupid. But if we talking about UFO and all that extraterrestrial shit, bro, they got a point. Cause a lot of people, they don't believe in extraterrestrial, bro, but that's really real. And
White. Born in 1931, he had briefly served in the US Army, studied music, get married, and then become a music professor at the University of St. Thomas in Houston. He would then go on to get fired from this position due to an alleged affair he would have with one of his male students. This would also lead directly to him getting divorced from his then wife. It was around 1972, and during this event, where
a UFO is something unexplained. That's why I love like deep diving these type of stuff, because I believe we lived for 80 years. I want to believe in aliens and all that, bro, because like, why not, bro?
Second founder of the cult,
that's so cool,
Bonnie Nettles. But how they met is contested by multiple sources. Some say they met in a hospital, as Bonnie Nettles was a nurse at the time, which multiple sources give different reasons as to why Marshall was at the hospital in the first place, including one that it was an asylum and Marshall himself was a patient. But Bonnie's daughter Terry says that they actually met at a theater she worked at. It's all kind of a jumbled mess, and it's really hard to put the story together as to which one is the correct version. But what we do know is that Bonnie, before meeting Marshall, was already very invested into spiritualism and astrology. From the point of Bonnie meeting Marshall,
I don't believe in astrology,
they became inseparable, having a fully non-sexual relationship in which they would intensely
like
study the
crystals,
Bible, sci-fi novels, and the occult, coming to the conclusion that they are both the two witnesses prophesied in Revelations, and that Marshall was also Jesus. This would lead them to leave Houston together on New Year's Day of 1973, severing their ties to their families and even leaving their names behind. They would go by a lot of different names over the years, the first one being Guinea and Pig, then onto Bo and Peep, and finally Doe and T. Nothing really happened during this time period as far as the cult goes, other than them getting arrested for 6 months for failure to return a rental and credit card fraud. But they did use this time to kind of refine the ideas that they had. This is when they started to finally form the cult's identity. They believed that not only were they the two witnesses, but that they had been blessed by aliens, and that they were the representatives of said aliens, as they were looking for humans to take part in an experiment to have them evolve just like Marshall and Bonnie were. Those lucky enough to evolve would avoid the coming apocalypse that would happen in 2027, where an alien race would reset the Earth.
Bro, I feel like if you really gotta be an alien, we gotta test our IQ, because aliens are known for being smart, and you can't be an alien if you're dumb. Like, that's just one, like, you can do all these things, but being an alien, if you don't know how to build a UFO, if you don't know how to, I don't know what aliens do, I'm gonna be so honest, but I just heard aliens are smart, and like, if you're not smart, you can't be an alien. So
the only way to avoid dying during this was to ascend your consciousness to a higher level than human. So that way you could board the mothership that was coming to pick up all the evolved humans during the apocalypse. It's almost 2027, so I guess we'll see soon if they were telling the truth or not, but back then they had quite a bit of time. When they first attempted to tell the good news to people, they would be going church to church, just kind of announcing all of this, which obviously this wouldn't work and they would just end up getting kicked out. So in order to get around this obstacle, what they decided to do instead was to post in newspapers seeking help finding UFOs, which this is actually how they got most of their members, and they would continue to do a lot of their conversions this way from then on, as it worked a little too well. In April of 1975, the cult would go on to hold a meeting in LA that attracted almost 24 people to it. And then they would do the same thing again September 14th, 1975, this time at the Bayshore Inn in Walport, Oregon. That meeting drew almost 150 to 200 attendees, with around 20 to 33 of those attendees selling their possessions and disappearing into the wilderness with the rest of the group, which the group would completely vanish after this point, and it was actually kind of hard to find them, with the next time people saw them being 1976, which they would gather at the Medicine Bow National Forest in Wyoming, which this meeting ended up just kind of being a way for them to set more rules and spread out across the United States. They would stop public recruiting from this point on and would kind of just live off of odd jobs and donations. From this point forward, the cult would kind of just mind their own business And it wouldn't really do anything until tragically in 1985, Bonnie Nettles would pass away from brain cancer, which this had a massive impact on the cult, its philosophy, and its prophecy. As when Bonnie died, it kind of damaged the whole two witnesses thing, and Marshall would eventually have to change the way you ascend, as to say that you don't actually need a physical body to ascend. So long as you got your consciousness to a higher level, it would be uploaded directly to the mothership. This is what got the cult to start calling themselves vessels or vehicles. This would again drive the cult even
Low key though, you gotta realize though, cause like people they don't make these stuff up for no reason, bro. Like I feel like the definition of cult is who you ask, bro. Cause a lot of religions, bro, they can be seen as cult to one type of person, but it seems to like a religion. The word cult is inaccurate, and sometimes that's someone's religion, and you can't really say that's just a cult, cause you know that's. Like,
further into
that's a
hiding
religion,
for
bro.
quite some time, as it would not be until 1992 that it would be seen in the public view again. This is when we finally get to see some of the media that the cult would go on to produce.
ForeverPrad, I guess, bro. Don't stop it.
Welcome to Beyond Human, the last call. This is our second session. I'm going to assume that you've watched our first session. And we, after that session, we
Nigga's so
got
ugly.
our heads together, watched
Who, me?
the session,
No, it's not me. I know you talk about.
and tried
that's
to
what I mean.
look at it from your point of view.
After roughly 7 years, the group would go on to re-emerge under the name Total Overcomers Anonymous, producing a
can't really call
12-part
this nigga
satellite
stupid, even though I
television
want
series
to.
called Beyond Human, The Last Call, that was broadcast over the next year. On May 27th of 1993, the group placed a 1/3 page advertisement in the national edition of USA Today under the headline UFO Cult resurfaces with final offer,
Oh, so
warning that the Earth was
they
about to
called
be
themselves a
spaded
cult.
under and
Okay.
recycled. This ad would appear in different newspapers and magazines across the United States, Canada, and Australia between June and September of 1993. In 1994, members embarked on a 9-month cross-country speaking tour, holding more than
Jesus.
100 public
Oh my
meetings.
gosh.
From here, the cult would go into hiding again and would only reappear in 1995. This time, they finally switched their name into Heaven's Gate. This time, the group would try their luck in Manzano, New Mexico, where they would try and build a fortress out of rubber tires and garbage. This didn't work, and they would eventually abandon it, moving in April of 1996 to a mansion in Santa Fe, California, which they dubbed the Monastery. And this is
Boom,
when
boom,
the
ski,
group
ski.
would start to get
What are you talking
on
about?
to the internet. The group's website, heavensgate.com, was launched in 1995 and is one of the most widely studied artifacts of the early World Wide Web.
I ain't gonna lie,
It really
okay. This is kind of hard though. I can't lie. Like this what counting commas used on the hoodie. Oh, this nigga. Is it him? We can't be
1,000
making
years.
fun of
Applewhite,
decent
when he heard about this comment,
We not living in the
eventually
same
would
time,
tie it
bro.
to the death of Jesus Christ, believing it to be a sign. He would go on to tell his followers that the alien mothership that would save them from the reset was hiding in the tail of the comet, and that when the comet was most visible, it would be time for them to upload their consciousness. But in order for them to do that, all of the members would have to shed their vessels. I can't say what I need to say here, but I think you all know what I mean. In preparation for this, the cult would record a few videos, one of them telling us how excited and ready they were to be taken to the next level.
What do you mean?
In preparation
What are you
of
talking
this, the cult would put these videos on VHS and send them out to ex-members, as Marshall said that they would need to leave their vehicles within the next couple of days, as Heaven's
Dude,
Gate
do you not pay attention? I
next
do.
level. would have to shed their vessels. But in order
You
for
talking about
them
this?
to do that, all of the members would have to shed their vessels. I can't say what I need to say here, but I think you all know what I mean. In preparation for this,
talking about that?
the cult would record a few videos. One of them telling us how excited and ready they were to be taken to the next level. In preparation of this, the cult would put these videos on VHS and send them out to ex-members, as Marshall said that they would need to leave their vehicles within the next couple of days, as Heaven's Gate was closing, and that the remaining members were ready to do just that. One specific ex-member of the cult, Rio D'Angelo, was so terrified of the tapes that he drove all the way out to California to check on them. When he got there, he knocked on the door
Are you ready for college? Let's not talk
to
about
no
that
answer.
here. Like,
Going around
I ain't gonna lie, bro. This is my safe space. Can we not talk about this here, bro?
to the back door, which he found unlocked, he would walk in, only to realize it was
I
way
guess,
too
bro.
late, as Heaven's Gate had already closed. All of the members of the cult were found inside, lifeless. When the police were called
Oh,
in,
shit.
they found out that the cult had taken a mixture of applesauce, chocolate pudding, and phenobarbital, a prescribed nerve suppressant mainly used as seizure medication. Taking this with a large amount of vodka and placing a plastic
Damn, they were
bag
getting lit in there.
on each other's heads. It was an extraordinarily
Damn.
lethal
Why are you
mixture,
watching
but
this?
among all of the members, there was not
I ain't gonna lie, it's interesting. You're black, Sean. You're right, bro. You know what, bro? You're right. I might as well finish it, but you're right though. You're right.
a single one who had any sign of struggle. They were all found to
got
be wearing
3
matching
more minutes
tracksuits
left.
and
might as well.
patches that read Heaven's Gate Away Team. They were all wearing Nike Decades with a cloth over their head as well, along with a $5 bill and a roll of quarters
Bro, what
found
if
inside of their
Nike
pockets.
made them
They
do
were
that
all
for a
completely
promo?
in on it. And I think that's what makes this cult so
I know which channel you might
memorable
fuck
for a
with.
lot of people, as
Send me, I
this
guess,
was
bro.
entirely ritualistic. The cult would do this in 3 groups over the course of 3 days, with the last remaining group having Applewhite in it. The last remaining cult member would have to make sure that all of the bodies were in order, putting the cloth over their heads and keeping their dignity. Only 2 of the members that were found inside were not in the ceremonial positions and still had their bags over their heads. But outside of them, it was completely uniform. This event
Hey,
would
hold up.
wipe the cult out entirely, either through people leaving due to being horrified by what they were being asked to do, or by cult members leaving their vehicles, with only 2 remaining members of the cult still
Excuse me.
around today. And the only reason that they were still around was for 2 reasons. Those 2 members being Mark and Sarah King, who were kicked out due to wanting to get married, which the cult strictly forbade. They still believed in the cult's beliefs, so they were tasked with running the website after the Exodus, which I find that very funny that during the last will and testament of Marshall Applewhite, he made sure that the website for Heaven's Gate was going to keep running. Now, I'm going
Wait,
to be completely
is the
honest.
Is the
There
website
is a
still
lot.
on? Bro, I feel like bro, I don't like this shit. I don't like the feeling of this shit, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
And I mean a lot about this cult that I just did not talk about within this video, as it was such a rabbit hole that I will more than likely just make a full dedicated video on them. On top of that, this video is long enough as it is, and this part most definitely could have gone on for at least another 20 to 30 minutes. But as tragic as this cult is, it is such a fascinating one to me, as it doesn't fall into the usual cases of person tries to abuse their power over other people type of cult, and is more of just a completely delusional couple that somehow gained a following that would stick with them until it was way too late. It really was a tragic case, and I hope the families of the members of this cult have gotten the closure that they needed over the years. Cults and the media that they produce are some of the most disturbingly fascinating pieces of media out there, not only for how uncanny a lot of it is, but for the reason of its creation in the first place. And the more and more I dive into it, the more and more I find that I wish to share with you all. But with that being said, thank you all for watching, and have a good night.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I really have no opinion on this, bro, because you can't really say it's a cult. Because again, some kids find a cult religious. Some people actually find a cult, so I can't really say shit about it.